guys, in this video we're looking at Macbeth, focusing on Act 5. So Act 5 looks at the psychological and physical wall closing in. While Lady Macbeth is destroyed by the mental weight of their crimes, Macbeth becomes a hollowed out shell, oscillating between aggressive bravado and deep nihilistic despair. The prophecies that gave him security in Act 4 are revealed as traps, and the great chain of being is finally mended as the rightful king takes the throne. This act shows inevitable consequences of ambition and the total collapse of the Macbeth world. Quick summary. So the sleepwalking. Lady Macbeth, driven mad by guilt, tries to wash imaginary blood from her hands. The siege, where Malcolm's army approaches Dusseldane, camouflaged by branches from Burnham Wood. The death of a queen. Lady Macbeth dies, likely by suicide. Macbeth responds with a speech on the futility of life. The truth. Macbeth reveals he was born Macduff, reveals he was born from his mother's womb, ultimately ripped, not born in the traditional sense. In the end, Macduff kills Macbeth and presents his severed head to Malcolm, the new king of Scotland. Key quote 1. Out, damn spot, out, I say, 1, 2, why then, 'tis time to do it. Here Lady Macbeth sleepwalks, reliving the night of Duncan's murder. It looks at prose versus verse. She no longer speaks in structured poetry, but in fragmented prose, reflecting her shattered mind. Irony. In Act 2, she said, "A little water cleanses off the steed." Now she could not wash the stain from her conscience. Analysis. The Shakespeare uses motif of blood to show that while the physical crime is over, the spiritual stain is eternal. Her fixation on the spot demonstrates that her subconscious has been conquered by the very guilt she previously mocked in her husband. The shifting between the murder of Duncan, the Macduffs, and Banquo shows that her mind is a loop of trauma. The big idea is a subconscious revenge of conscience. Key quote 2. Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow. This is Macbeth's reaction to the news of his wife's death. The repetition here shows tedious, which means boring and meaningless nature of time. Metaphors here. Life is a walking shadow, a poor player, and a tale told by an idiot. The grade 9 analysis is that this is the peak of Macbeth's nihilism. He doesn't grieve for his wife in a traditional sense. Instead, he views her death as a sign that all of human existence is a meaningless performance. By calling life a tale told by an idiot, he suggests that his own ambition, the thing he killed for, was ultimately signify nothing. The big idea here is nihilism and the futility of ambition. Key quote 3 is "I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to the one of woman born." Here Macbeth confronts Macduff, still clinging to the witch's prophecy. The charmed life. He still believes he is the protagonist of a supernatural story. Hubris. Even at the end, he relies on external magic rather than his own character. The grade 9 analysis that Shakespeare uses this to show how equivocation has completely blinded Macbeth. He is so trapped in the fairy's foul logic of the witches that he cannot see the reality of his own defeat. He is a man fighting a charm rather than a man. The big idea is the death of the tragic hero. Quote 4. Macduff was from his mother's womb, ultimately ripped. The moment the prophecy trap is sprung here. The analysis is that this is the agnosis, which is the moment of realization and discovery. The bloody child apparition from Act 4 is finally explained. Macduff was born by caesarean section, meaning he is not of woman born in the linguistic trap set by the witches. At this moment, Macbeth realizes he has been juggled with by fiends. The big idea here is the trap of fate. Character focus, the final fall. By Act 5, the two protagonists have completely swapped roles. Lady Macbeth starts as a ruthless, unsexed manipulator, and she enters a fragile, broken woman destroyed by her own humanity. Macbeth starts as a conflicted moral soldier, and he ends as a cold, bear-like fighter who has lost all capacity for human feeling. The grade 9 insight is Macbeth's tragedy is that he becomes dehumanized. Unlike Lady Macbeth, who feels too much leading to madness, Macbeth eventually feels nothing, and his death is almost a relief, which is a cleaning of the polluted state. Themes in Act 5 are as follows. So we have justice and restoration. The play ends with the dead butcher and his fiend-like queen. The natural order is restored when Malcolm, whose rightful heir, takes the throne. We also look at appearance versus reality. So Burnham Wood moves as the soldiers use branches as camouflage. The prophecies fail despite being technically true. We also look at the meaning of life. Through Macbeth's final soliloquies, Shakespeare questions if power is worth the loss of one's soul. Why Act 5 matters. Act 5 is a resolution. It proves that blood will have blood. It provides a moral warning. Ambition that bypasses morality leads to an empty, shadow-like existence. And it closes the circle started in Act 1, that Macbeth began the play by unseeming a traitor, MacDonald, and he ends it by being beheaded as a traitor himself. The grade 9 interpretation. In the final act, Shakespeare explores the idea of the mask of the tyrant. Macbeth puts on his armour, hang those that talk of fear, as a way to hide his internal emptiness. However, the moving of burning wood represents nature itself rising up to strip that mask away. The play suggests that while evil can seize power, it cannot sustain it because evil is inherently chaotic. Order, in Malcolm Macduff and nature, will always eventually realign itself, leaving the tyrant as a brief candle that is quickly extinguished. Exam style paragraph. How does Shakespeare present the downfall of Lady Macbeth in Act 5? So the answer is as follows. Shakespeare presents Lady Macbeth's downfall as psychological collapse driven by the weight of suppressed guilt. Her shift from the iambic pentameter of earlier acts to the fragmented prose of the sleepwalking scene signifies a total disintegration of her mental faculty. The repetitive action of washing her hands, coupled with the exclamation "out damn spot," serves as a powerful ironic reversal of her Act 2 claim that a little water cleanses of this deed. Through this, Shakespeare suggests that the unsexing she requested in Act 1 was a failure. Her feminine remorse and humanity have returned to haunt her. Ultimately, her downfall serves as a moral didactic, illustrating that the human psyche cannot survive the total rejection of morality, leading to a state of madness that can only be resolved by death.